The empty chair at the anniversary table. Full story. Approximately 2,000 words. Thomas Callahan had spent 42 years building things that lasted. First as a structural engineer for the State Highway Department, then as the owner of a small but respected firm specializing in historic restorations. He knew how to read blueprints the way other men read novels. He could spot a hairline crack in reinforced concrete from 20 feet away, long before it became visible to anyone else. That same quiet instinct had kept his marriage strong for 40 years, his daughter safe through teenage rebellion, and his heart intact after Evelyn's 3-year battle with ovarian cancer ended in quiet hours of a March morning 3 years ago. He never raised his voice. He simply reinforced what mattered. So when Sarah texted him 3 weeks before what would have been their 40th wedding anniversary, "Dad, let's do something special. Lucille Blue, private room, 7:30 p.m. Friday. The boys are excited. Love you." He felt a small, hopeful thaw in the frost that had settled over their relationship since the funeral. Sarah was 38 now, married to Marcus Tate for 12 years, mother to 2 boys who used to run to him shouting Poppy the moment he walked through the door. These days, they barely looked up from their devices. Marcus, a commercial real estate developer with a smile as polished as his cufflinks, had always treated Thomas with the careful politeness one reserves for a valuable but slightly outdated asset. Thomas arrived at 7:20 p.m., navy blazer pressed, white orchids in hand, the same variety Evelyn carried on their wedding day. He'd stopped at the florist on Carey Street, the one Evelyn used to visit every Thursday. The owner, Mrs. Delgado, had hugged him and whispered, "She'd be proud you still remember." The hostess led him through the main dining room, past tables of Richmond's quietly wealthy, to the private room at the back. He heard the laughter before he saw them. It was bright, easy laughter, the kind that stops abruptly when an outsider enters. The table was a battlefield of indulgence already half-finished. Empty oyster shells glistened under candlelight. Lobster tails cracked open like secrets. 3 bottles of 2015 Bordeaux stood at drunken angles, only dregs left in the bottom. Dessert plates showed chocolate smears and strawberry ghosts. Sarah sat at the head, phone in hand, thumb scrolling. Marcus lounged beside her, sleeves rolled, tie loosened like a man who'd already won the night. Ethan, 14, and Liam, 12, were deep in their iPads, earbuds in. Thomas's chair, the only one with a full untouched play setting, waited at the far end, squeezed between the wall and a service cart. No one stood. No one said, "Happy anniversary." No one even looked surprised. "Dad," Sarah said without lifting her eyes, "you made it. Traffic on I-95 is murder this time of year." "The roads were clear," Thomas replied softly. He placed the orchids on the side table. Their petals trembled slightly. Marcus raised his glass in a half-toast. "Better late than never. We started without you. Figured you wouldn't mind." They had not waited 5 minutes. They had started at 7 sharp. Thomas sat. The waiter appeared almost immediately with the leather folder containing the bill. He placed it directly in front of Thomas, as though it had always belonged there. Marcus leaned back, fingers drumming the stem of his wine glass. "You don't mind covering this, right, Dad? We took care of the deposit and the appetizers. Figured you want to treat the family for the big milestone." Sarah finally looked up. Her eyes were soft, almost tender. "It's what Mom would have wanted, all of us together." Thomas opened the folder. $1,847.32 before gratuity. He looked at the empty plates, at the orchids slowly wilting, at the grandchildren who hadn't said hello, at the daughter who hadn't once called him Dad in the old, warm way since the will was read. And he smiled, the small, calm smile he used when he found flaw in a foundation no one else had noticed. He slid his American Express across the table. The waiter took it, returned with the slip. Thomas signed slowly, deliberately. Then, on the tip line, he wrote in neat block letters, "Please ask the manager to join us. Private matter. Thomas Callahan." Conversation died like a candle pinched out. Isabel Moreau, the restaurant's general manager for 23 years, had known Evelyn since their daughters played on the same youth soccer team. She entered carrying a tablet, expression composed but eyes sharp. "Thank you for waiting, Mr. Callahan." she said quietly. She turned the tablet toward the center of the table and pressed play. Security footage. Timestamp, Wednesday, 2 days earlier for 17 p.m. Marcus and Sarah, alone in the same private room. Marcus pacing, gesturing grandly. Sarah laughing behind her hand. Marcus's voice clear through the speakers. He'll never notice the switch. The reservation's under his name. He'll think it's his idea. Sentimental old man and his anniversaries. He'll pay anything to feel like he's honoring her. Sarah, softer, just make sure we order the full tasting menu before he gets here. By the time he arrives, it'll look like we've been here for hours. He hates being late. He'll feel guilty. Guilty people pay. Ethan and Liam were not in the footage. They had been spared the rehearsal. The room became so quiet Thomas could hear the faint hum of the wine cooler in the corner. Marcus's face had gone the color of old plaster. Sarah's mouth opened, closed, open again. No sound came out. Thomas spoke, voice low and even, the way he used to read bedtime stories to Sarah when she was small. I called Isabel last week. Changed the reservation myself. Asked her to keep the original booking under my name and to record the walkthrough, just in case. He looked at his daughter. Your mother left me 2 letters before she passed. One for me, one for you. She said to open yours only when I was certain you'd forgotten who raised you. He reached into his jacket and withdrew a cream envelope, Evelyn's handwriting on the front. For Sarah, when the time comes. Sarah's hands shook as she took it. She did not open it. Not yet. Thomas continued. The second thing she left was a trust, modest by your new standards. It activates only if exploitation is documented. Tonight qualifies. Marcus tried to speak. Thomas raised one hand, gentle, final. And the third thing? He looked at Ethan and Liam, who had finally pulled out their earbuds. She left video messages for the boys. One for each birthday up to 21. They're safe with Isabel. You'll receive them when and only when you both agree to family counseling and repay every dollar I've loaned since the funeral. He stood, lifted the orchids and placed them gently in front of Sarah. Happy anniversary, sweetheart. Your mother's love was never conditional, but respect, that is always at terms. He walked out. Behind him, the first sob broke the silence like glass. 3 months passed like seasons and fast forward. Sarah appeared on his porch one Saturday morning in late June. No makeup, no designer sunglasses, just jeans, a faded UVA sweatshirt, and red-rimmed eyes. She held a white envelope. Inside, a cashier's check for $87,420. Every emergency loan, every just this once. Every credit card balance she and Marcus had quietly transferred to Thomas's name since Evelyn's death, plus interest at the prime rate. She sat at Evelyn's old kitchen table, opened the second letter in front of him. The handwriting was still strong, though the ink had faded slightly. My darling girl, I know how easy it is to confuse ambition with entitlement. I know how seductive new money feels when it arrives all at once. But if you ever make your father feel small, remember this. The man who built our life never once raised his voice. He just built stronger foundations. If you hurt him, he won't yell. He'll quietly remove the supports you didn't know you were standing on. I love you enough to hope you never learn that lesson the hard way. But if you do, I left the map home. Mom. Sarah cried the way she had at 5 years old when she broke her arm falling off the swing Thomas had built in the backyard. Big, ugly, honest sobs. Marcus was gone. The beach house contract had fallen through after the bank pulled financing. The boys came every weekend now. No screens, just on the porch. Stories about how their grandmother used to sneak chocolate chips into pancake batter when Thomas wasn't looking. Sarah started gardening. Evelyn's rose bed, neglected for 3 years, came back to life under her hands. The blooms this summer were the biggest Thomas had seen since 2018. Thomas never yelled, never cursed, never chased them down for repayment. He simply waited for cracks to show, then quietly reinforced the only structure that had ever really mattered. On the actual anniversary date, July 12th, he drove to the cemetery alone. Placed fresh white orchids at Evelyn's stone. Sat on the bench they'd installed together years ago. I didn't destroy them, he said aloud. I just let them see what they were standing on. A breeze moved the roses. Somewhere in the distance, a child laughed. He smiled. Family isn't about who pays the bill. It's about who stays when the table is already empty.